Hello, everybody. Welcome to the special 20th edition of the TNT podcast with Tuna and Dan. Welcome, fellas. How are we all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good. I think Dan muted himself.
Biffy, mate. Yeah, I was trying to mute other things as well. All it wrong.
So our 20th edition of our podcast here. And we've been doing this now. Tuna and I were just talking about it. So for those of you who are new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. We do have a very special giveaway, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But we've been doing this now since, I believe, November last year. Now, we started on Twitter Spaces. And then Tuna decided that he wanted the world to see his beautiful face. And we pivoted into doing video podcasts on YouTube. And we've been here ever since. Some would argue maybe we should go back to Twitter Spaces after seeing Tuna's face. But
got a lot of endorsement deals for makeup and stuff.
He did. He did. Yeah. He's the new face of L'Oreal.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And Victoria's Secret, kind of weirdly as well. But we won't go into that now. It's okay, Dan. Don't worry. He won't send you any pics. We promise. So for those of you, so for those of you who are discovering our lovely little podcast here for the very first time, we are tech enthusiasts, if you will. We love tech. We love everything about technology. And we like to discuss kind of the big stories of the week. Also products that we're currently using and just general kind of everyday chaos. I think last week when we had Sam on the show, we talked about cars for about 20 minutes, which was
license plates. Yes.
License plates and cars for 20 minutes, which was some high quality, pristine tech talk right there. No, but we loved it. It was amazing. Tuna's actually since got his own customized number plate. Do you want to share what it is? Or is that
I'm waiting to hear what you think it is. Why don't you take a stab at it?
I had the numbers 6 and 9 in there. I don't know.
Right. Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking. Correct.
All right. So we thank you very much for people that are watching live at home. If you do have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. We are going to be giving a very special giveaway out to somebody who asks the best question during tonight's show. Ooh. So ask away, keep posting your questions and your comments. And if we like what you put up there and we think it's a great question, we'll show you what it is that you've won. And it's a pretty awesome little prize, pretty awesome little giveaway. Tuna just put in the chat, can he ask a question? And
that's a question, right?
That's a good question. Let's just put that up on screen.
There you go. And I won.
Now you should answer yourself.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
We will put your questions up on screen too, so all the other guys can respond to them and see them. So let's talk a little bit about what's been happening this week. So let's start with this massive event that's coming up on the 26th, which you may have heard of this company. They're pretty small in the world. They're called Samsung, I believe.
I think you're pronouncing that wrong.
Say again. I didn't quite catch it.
Samsung. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it incorrectly. I mean, I'm sure it's spelled differently.
I mean, Xiaomi is very easy to understand, but Samsung.
I know.
Yeah. I don't know.
But Samsung are having a massive launch for their new generation of foldable devices a little later on this coming week. And there's a lot of hype around it.
And a lot of leaks. A lot of
leaks, yes. So
they can't contain that leak at all.
Well, what can you do? I mean, how do you prevent it?
Well, I was reading online. They're saying it's really bad. Like Samsung's even upset about it. I don't know if it's true, but
I have a funny feeling they're taking a page out of Google's book. And I'm convinced all of the Google leaks are done by Google themselves. They accidentally leave their
They're all finally copying Google at something, I see.
Yes.
Why would you want to copy Google? Who are they?
Yeah, well, that's it. Right? If only they would copy their
How do you pronounce that? What was that?
I thought it was Goggle, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
I mean, what would we know? So Samsung Unpacked event. So this is what we know. We have a flipping and a folding phone.
True.
Very, very soon.
Standard.
The 5th generation of each device, I believe.
Yes.
Now, we know that the Z Flip 5 is going to have a bigger outer screen, a bit like the Motorola Razr Plus, which we've seen some leaks, and I'll put up a picture in a second of what
But I
that might
think
look like.
the leak I see on the Flip 5 is that it's thumb proof, but we'll talk about that later. The outer screen. The outer screen is thumb proof. You can't.
I
Okay.
have no idea what you call. What does thumb proof mean? Sorry, I'm not even looking at the screen right now.
Thumb. So the Razr Plus tends to be.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not as
we will
thumb
talk
proof.
We
We
will
can talk about that a little later.
Yes. But leaked images. Let's have a look here at what we can see. So, forgive me for the shitty quality of this leaked photo here, but this is what we think it's going to look like. So. Here are the renders of the Flip.
It looks just like the Razr minus the screen going around the cameras.
I'm going to be honest with you. If that is what the outer screen of the Flip 5 looks like, I'm going to lose my fucking mind because there is no symmetry to that outer display whatsoever. It looks...
I mean, there's an argument though, because the Razr Plus is bigger, obviously, but going around the cameras is no benefit, technically. So, I mean, and there's not much you can change on the outer screen. You're going to put cameras there, and the screen's going to be as big as it is wider, whatever.
Yeah.
The issue I've seen is that the software's worse. Like, you can't do as much on the front screen as you can on the Razr, but we don't know that till we get it in hand either.
I just don't understand the point of that little
notch.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like the file icon from Windows.
Oh, it looks like a file icon. It does.
I never thought of that, but now I can't.
It's literally just come to me. It's literally just come to me. I can't.
I mean, it's still an upgrade though, and they kind of utilize it like a ticker. If you look in that second picture there, like LG.
It gives me a bit LG V20 vibes.
Right.
What you see here, like the image. If you can see the image on screen right now, interesting leaked images here. I mean, it's a big upgrade from the Flip 4, which you can see on the left side of the screen there. Functionality wise, I really feel as though if they don't have the same functionality as the Razr, I think it may piss people off.
I don't know. It's Samsung. Can they do any wrong?
No.
Yeah, they can.
It's like Apple. Apple can make the dynamic island, which is going to be on every iPhone 15, like a big thing. And it's not really that much because we've seen Android duplicate that with software. And it's and Apple, enthusiasts are going to say it's the best thing. Same with Samsung. Technically, they are I wouldn't say they're the purveyors of the fold and flip, but they are the most popular, at least here in the US, they are.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Flip 5, I've said on this channel a number of times that I really feel as though the Flip will be the phone that Samsung's pushing this year. And I think that's because we're seeing iterative interactions when it comes to, or iterative updates to the Fold series. I don't think it's going to be much different apart from the hinge folding flat. I think that's going to be the only change.
Pretty much it.
And the Snapdragon processor. Maybe.
Well, and then this guy right here is saying, hey, do we have DeX on the Flip 5? The Flip 4 didn't have it, correct?
No, it did. The Flips haven't had it.
I think they're going to have it because that's a big deal. I mean, the Razr Plus had Ready for wireless only, correct? Because it was only a USB like 2.0 or whatever. And Ready 4 is not bad.
This is what we know. According to Sam Mobile, the website Sam Mobile, it'll be the small Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 will be the smallest Samsung phone to support DeX. So they're saying
it'd be stupid not to include it. Now, is it wired or wireless?
That's another good question. It doesn't say anything about whether it's wireless or wired. It could be both. Oh, no, sorry. I apologize. It says here that it's suspected that it would be wirelessly or using an HDMI adapter or USB.
HDMI adapter?
Or I think it's going to be USB-C.
Oh, okay.
HDMI or some kind of, I have no idea. It's interesting. I mean, that could be a little bit of a game changer for Samsung because realistically, people were buying the Fold because of that functionality. That was one of the selling features.
Okay.
Personally, like I don't like the symmetry of the outer display. I think that fucking ticker is ugly. I don't like the cutout. It looks ridiculous. It does look like the file icon from Windows.
Let me ask you a question, Darren. Do you hate the what do they call them? The rounded screens, or the screens that kind of roll over on the sides.
No, you know what? That's never bothered me, but I do prefer a flat display. But
Dan, you do?
deal with.
Okay, so if that bothers you, Dan, does this symmetry bother you on this picture? See, what I've noticed is people who don't like that, whatever the screen that rolls over the sides because of phantom touches. They don't bother me. Also have issues with symmetry.
Yes.
And that's why, like, the Nothing Phone 2 supposedly has, symmetry all the way around, which a lot of people were like praising. I'm like, who cares? It's a bezel around the screen. But it's an important thing for some people. So okay.
I'm not generally that bothered about bezels per se, as long as it's sort of, as long as it's sort of symmetrical in one dimension. Like it doesn't have to be like
all the way around.
Symmetrical bezel all the way around, but that to me just looks weird.
It looks bizarre, yeah.
Well, if you're not planning on using it like a phone, like you do with the Razor, then maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe they're thinking you're not going to be using that screen as, I don't know. I'm just trying to defend them for no reason. I'm not buying that phone anyway. So.
For those of you who are in the chat right now, let us know what you think about the outer display on the Flip 5. Remember, we are giving away a very special prize today, which is the very best question or comment from a listener or viewer. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Flip 5 outer screen is ridiculous like we think it is? Now, the other big story is what we think the Fold 5 is going to be like. So I'm going to throw this out there first and foremost. I'm going to start with this.
Oh, no.
Pen in or pen out this time?
It has to be out at this point. It's narrow and there's nowhere to put it. You're going to kill a battery or make the cameras worse. And I don't honestly. I had the S23. I never used the pen except for maybe the first week, and I've never used the pen on the Fold either. And I have it on the Fold 4.
I've used it like twice. And it's annoying.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be inside either. I really think they're still going to go with the external pen. I don't think we're going to see any upgrades to the stylus or whatever the fuck that thing's called.
They did a lot with the Fold 4. I mean, just how it bridges the gap. I mean, it was amazing how they did that stuff. It doesn't seem like much, but it was a big deal, I guess. So
I wondered why. I almost wonder, with all the Hinge redesigns that they've done in the last couple of years, that they can't somehow find a way to make a cavity channel with a super thin pen. Almost, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the Microsoft stylus? Do you remember the Microsoft stylus, which is kind of flat?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they could maybe make a channel kind of up.
It takes up a lot of space.
And the thing is with the Hinge, Samsung's not stupid. I mean, yes, they're not innovating the Hinge every time, making small improvements, but they're on their 5th generation and it works. Yeah. Don't fix it, but it's not broken. But they do have competition now, and the Pixel Fold has been so well received, especially by Darren, who doesn't want to think about selling it at all.
No, I don't want to think about selling it at all. We'll talk about the Pixel Fold a little later on if you really want to go back into that world. But
absolutely,
this question's interesting right here. Do you think this is the last year the Fold will have a redesign? So we talked about this, I think, in the last episode. So the Flip got a kind of a redesign this year with the bigger screen, and the Fold kind of stayed the same. So I think they're going to do this alternative thing where now next year the Flip will kind of stay the same and the Fold will actually change. So yeah, I think we're going to see some kind of change. I don't know how dramatic it's going to be. Samsung has got to stay, profitable. They can't not make a device that's going to last.
So I don't know if you guys caught this earlier in the week, but someone on Twitter mentioned that they had used or had in hand both devices, and he was answering questions about the devices. I'm trying to find who the user was. But yeah, he was saying he was answering a bunch of questions about what this new device was going to look and feel like. And he said, and I forget, I'm trying to find it here. I can't seem to find it, but he said off the top of my head that the Fold 5, the biggest change to the Fold 5 was that it would fold flat. So the gap would be gone. So kind of like the image you see here.
Right.
And the other big interesting design change was that the outer screen would be marginally wider. So marginally is what he said.
But marginally, it could be a big amount. I mean, just a little bit of more width
think
could
it
make a
changed
big
that.
difference.
It could be. I mean,
That's
again,
what
I
she
don't know,
said,
like,
at least.
I can't remember who the user was, but it was someone here who allegedly had hands on with both devices. And he was just simply answering questions. I imagine it's probably been deleted by this point, and it could be bullshit. It could just be whatever, trying to gain followers or likes or whatever.
Right.
But it was interesting to see what he says, because some of the stuff that he said didn't seem crazy. It almost felt like that's plausible for like a Fold 5 leak. And they have been.
I didn't think they were supposed to be changing screen size in any way, like dimensions or anything. I know they're definitely supposed to be making it fold flat, because every other
Yes.
folder out there is doing that now.
Yeah. Mike, thanks for joining us. Mike, how you doing, bud?
Pretty good. I mean, you guys have probably seen my Twitter stuff. I was in the hospital a couple times, but I'm better now.
Awesome. That
Hope
seems
so.
to be the running theme for the last couple of weeks. People getting sick all over the place.
All right, let's
I
not
think-
jinx things, all right? I'm not going to the hospital.
Mine was gallbladder, and then I was slightly dehydrated because I was having the pressure from like on my gallbladder. So then you don't eat enough, and even though I was drinking a lot, your body doesn't retain because you're not getting enough salt. So everything you drink, you just pee out basically.
So
So
but
they're
you're
like-
okay now, Mike.
Just get some Gatorade and you'll be fine. Yeah, I'm a lot better now.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to have you here, man. We're just talking about the Flip and Fold, the big event coming up, and we're just talking about Fold 5.
Did you say the flip and fold or flip and fold?
Flip and Fold? I like that. The Flip and Fold.
It would be kind of neat if
I like
I
that.
mean, it's impossible with physics. Well, it might be impossible, but it would be kind of cool if you could have something that could like. Can you imagine something like this and it has a hinge and it could be a flip, but then you could open it
Or
into
a
a fold?
Oh, there you
No.
go. It boxes up into a cube.
I'm gonna tell you right
Rubik's
now,
cube.
That's going to fall apart and break in no time.
Galaxy
Too many bends
Rubik.
and folds.
But if any company would do it, it would be Samsung.
Yeah,
Exactly.
probably.
As an experiment. So this image that you see here, guys, is an alleged leaked prototype of the Z Fold 5. Looks.
Oh, I see. It has
Looks the
the.
same.
I see. It even has like the code down at the bottom, kind of like they did the what was it, the M whatever that was like the
Yes.
original fold and was like the M something, and then they had the Q series, and now it's the. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. So Kevin here, thanks for joining us. Kevin is just asking, what's the best feature on the Flip? So what is something that you guys would like or would love?
Sorry about that.
Tuna with that porn voice. Is
I don't know what's going on.
Oh,
I don't know. I think for me, the flip, God, I guess it's the portability. Isn't that the whole point? You can flip down. I mean, to me, I'm not a big flip person. I'm more of a fold. But I think the biggest thing is it can be more compact. And now with these bigger screens on the front, you can do more.
To
Correct.
me, in the recent years, the Flip has been that when you open it up, the inside camera is way better than the Fold, and you can actually use it to like record videos and stuff because they went
Yes.
with the hole punch, which I kind of understand on the Fold why they didn't, but here's a simple solution. So I have the Vivo X Fold, and it has the hole punch.
Yes.
Why don't they just push video down towards the bottom? So like the camera, because the camera is usually up farther and you usually have black bars. They could just push it down. Yeah, you'd have a bigger black bar on the top, but your video is still only going to take up, you still have the aspect ratio. If they were to push it down, then that hole punch would be above it because it's usually a good only like half an inch from the top of the video. Now with video games or playing games and stuff, it's going to be in there no matter what because usually games take up the whole screen. But I would rather have that, or even the original Fold where it had the notch in the corner.
Yes.
Video never hit that. I would take that over.
Or
I
something
feel
like
that's
Fold,
a
the
balance
Pixel Fold, where
between-
it's got the
yeah.
bezel.
I feel like that's kind of
Right.
a balance between what the Pixel Fold did, where it's a whole bezel, and and going under display, just have it in the corner, and then you get the advantage of you could have two cameras, you can have a bigger sensor, you can have better. I feel like that was the advantage with the original Fold. Was
Well, Mike, it's funny that you said that about the original Fold. So we were talking about the outer screen of the Flip just a few moments ago.
Yeah.
Doesn't the outer screen of the Flip look like the screen on the original Fold with the cutout?
That's what that reminded me of. And when I saw that, I was like, it's kind of okay as long as software handles it right. I don't know if apps are gonna ignore where the cameras kind of bump up a little bit, or if they're just going to see that and then you're going to have a little bit of data down there, because that could be a problem if a developer puts something you're like trying to tap and it's down partially cut off. I'm hoping that they ignore it and it can push it up, or like there's a setting that allows you to just kind of make it straight across the bottom, kind of how you can do in a lot of versions of Android, how you can do with the status bar, where you can tell it, to ignore the front camera or whatever. Do the same thing on the outer, and then so if apps aren't optimized to kind of take, because you really think that extra sliver along from like the left side over to the cameras is really going to make a ton of a difference. So just make it so you can ignore it.
It does. To me, it does.
Like, I don't know why they didn't just make it straight across there either. Is kind of weird. Like, why didn't they just the extra 3 pixels along the bottom? They could have just made that straight across.
But that's what I was saying, and we were saying that the symmetry is horrible, like just the way that it comes across. But I mean,
Samsung
it doesn't bother me. I'm not a big symmetrical guy, and I don't like notches. That's what it reminds me of. But I have the Razr, and it goes around the camera, and I don't understand that either, because it's not really screen real estate you can use.
I mean, Samsung realistically, up until the more recent, they weren't really symmetrical with their bezels, and they're not technically the bottom bezel on my S23 Plus is slightly bigger than the top one, but it's like a half a millimeter or something different. It's more balanced than the recent.
Well, the bezel king is Dan. Yeah, Dan is the bezel king.
Look at it. Look at that. Disgraceful.
That's when I
Wait, what phone was that? What phone was that?
The Ultra.
The Ultra.
What about the Sony?
What about the Sony? The Sony's got perfect symmetrical bezels. It's got the
That's
same.
what I'm saying. Let's see it.
It's beautiful.
It's just, it's perfect.
The Note 9 was the last. The Note 9 was my favorite because because it didn't have the hole punch camera.
Yeah.
But you had space, so like that top earpiece where it was the speaker, it had the holes up through the top, so you had better sound. You had an actual like separate second stereo rather than it being like the earpiece.
Yeah, so it was just a little bezel at the top, a little bezel at the bottom, but the screen was essentially rectangular, right?
Sony,
kind of like Sony does that.
But I just like it because there's no cutout in the screen. That's what
LG did that for a little bit. But yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Kevin on here was just talking about the Razr. What was the best feature? Best feature on the Razr, I believe he was saying, and his wife said her Razr was the first flip phone. What was your first flip phone, Dan? Did you ever have a flip phone? Or
my first ever flip phone?
Yes.
Was actually the Oppo.
Oh,
I
really?
never actually had a flip phone in the old days.
Wow.
No.
That's impressive. What about you, Mike? First ever flipping phone, not folding.
Like, mine was a LG something. I had it after I had the Nokia. What was it? The 3310 or whatever that had the antenna that went up. I was on track. It was on track phone. My parents had that, and then they gave me that, and then I ended up going to it was the LG whatever it was back in the day. That all plastic,
standard
but
silver flipping phone.
You didn't pay much for it, but the thing was, you're making calls and you're doing the old T9 texting, but the battery life of that thing was like a month.
Yes,
even though it was small, because you're not really doing. Yes. Even if you were on the phone like 8 hours a day, the battery life on that was insane. And if your battery died, what'd you do? You just flipped the back of it off and you just put a new one. But it was an LG. Was technically my first advanced phone that could. Technically, I think that the Motorola could text.
It could,
It's
yes.
just it took you forever because they didn't do the standard where you'd like triple click. They did some weird like double button combination with some of the
I remember it was like
characters.
predictive at one point as well.
And
I
then
don't know if you
predictive stuff. Yeah, it was weird. They were pretty advanced though for yeah. So, but like as far as recent days, the Flip 3 was my first like, smartphone
Nice.
flip. The first couple I didn't really I was like, the design I didn't really get. And now I'm kind of one of those people I'm like I don't really get the flip phone. It's like you get worse cameras, you get worse battery
Yeah.
life, charging's
Yeah.
I mean, charging has improved, battery life improved on the Flip 4 substantially, but it's like, but then the cool part of, what was it? We were in a hotel room and my wife she wanted to do, she was going to get into doing like a coffee channel. So we were recording this unboxing and I'm like, oh, what can I do? So I took my Flip 3 and opened it and it was neat. You could put it like floor level to get
Oh,
like
yes,
that,
down.
and be, in the shot and not have to like hold it, and I could help place stuff just right for the clip, and it was neat.
Good times.
And it's like if I'd been thinking, I would have paired it with my watch and then done, you can do the remote control that way rather than like the hand gestures and stuff. But I think for people that do a lot of, like, if you wanted to be a one-man camera person for content creation, I think a Flip could actually be pretty cool with that. But then again, just buy a little mini tripod and save yourself
Exactly.
money and have a
little
buy a
stand.
much better like
Yeah.
$700 to $1,000 camera. Buy yourself a Pixel 7 Pro or like
Yeah.
anything in like the $700 to $800 to dollar range. Just spend like
Right.
$20 on a tripod,
Kickstand. A case with a kickstand. Yeah.
and you could even
Tuna,
buy
what
like a
about-
cheap Bluetooth. The Bluetooth remotes that they sell
Oh,
at the
yeah,
dollar
yeah,
store.
yeah.
You could pair it that it just sends like a volume control signal to start and stop your.
There you go. Nice. Dan's got the case. They're right there, buddy.
Or having like a war.
Tuna, what was your first flipping phone?
I'm gonna say, back when I had phones, the flip phones were all the same.
Yes.
They
all look the same. Black or silver.
One phone that always stuck out to me was I don't know if it was T-Mobile, but it was T-Mobile Sidekick that swiveled out. Do you remember those?
Yes. Good.
They had a
times.
black and white, they had a color, and it kind of spun off into a bunch of different ones. But that was one of my favorite phones. Flipwares, I had the original Razor. That's kind of why I jumped on the Razor. But yeah.
I think if you had the original Razor like Tuna and I did, then you probably have purchased or have thought about purchasing the Razor 2023.
Well, it's got that mode too, where you can click it on it, and it makes it look like the original Razor. Well, one of the original
Yes.
Razor, not the original, but
Took
one
me
of them.
forever to find where that feature was, but I got it. Penny Fletcher, thank you very much for joining us. She
Penny.
said, what phone are you all using right now? So what is your daily driver? I hate to use that fucking term, but let's use that right now. Mike, what's your everyday phone as of right now? Yep, that's a 14 Pro Max or
Pro Max, yep.
Pro Max. Nice. Dan, I'm assuming everybody knows Dan's choice, but maybe not.
Yeah,
Oh, he's muted.
You're
Hang on,
muted.
Dan, you muted yourself.
I know what he's gonna say. Cup and string. We already know.
That's how we operate in England.
Mhm.
That's true. It's true.
Xperia 1 Mark 5. Yes.
Yes.
That's
Beautiful phone. Beautiful. Tuna.
It is.
Oh, you already know what I'm using.
The Magic 5 Pro. There you go.
I still want that phone.
How much is that thing?
$1,000.
A million.
Probably.
dollars.
A
Around
million.
about
dollars.
$1,000. I have it. That is Tuna and I have both had that phone for some time now. We would argue it's probably the phone of the year in our.
The only thing I don't like about it is here in the U.S. it does not work on AT&T. Only works on T-Mobile. So if you're an AT&T user, Verizon user, or anything outside of that, you might as well just say save your money. So
Does it
Just
have
screen puts me off.
I'm so bad with this. Does Honor have their own like desktop mode? Because I know Huawei has their do they have that? And is it only with certain Honor devices?
I don't know.
Look into that. I have no
I mean,
idea
I
either. I've never
plug it in
tried
all the
I have
time
no
to,
idea.
to move files around, and it tries to install some like high honor suite for like their phone.
Oh yeah, the high suite. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've noticed. I haven't noticed that mode though.
Okay. I'm using the Pixel Fold. That's the one that my SIM card is currently in, but I have the Magic 5 Pro over to the side there. If I was going to go, for me personally, if I was going to go out taking photographs, I would not take the Pixel Fold. I would take the Honor, because the Honor does take better photos than the Pixel Fold. And
probably better than the Sony too.
Maybe.
Stan's not even listening.
Piss Dan off.
The funny thing is, if I could find it, I still think even to this day, with the exception of a few minor areas, my Mate 30 Pro still, I feel like, still takes better photos than a lot of phones even today.
Yeah,
which is crazy because that phone's what, 3 years old now, so 4 years old. It's
someone posted on Twitter earlier this week, and I'll to quote them, and I forget who it was, and if you're listening, thank you very much, that the Honor phone Magic 5 Pro takes godlike photos, was the term that he used, godlike, which I think is probably overselling it a little, but not far from the truth. The Honor Magic 5 Pro takes amazing photographs, and I can't undersell that. I mean, Tuna usually just uses it for selfies. So, like, if you look at his camera roll, it's just 1,000 selfies, one a day kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
That's absolutely not true.
I knew it.
It's the magic in it,
It is. It's true. Boy. Magic.
Now I've left
okay, so moving on, guys. Let's talk a little bit about AI, because this week we've had a shit ton of AI stories come out.
Yes,
now,
I'm a ChatGPT person. I'm not real. I get it. I'll move on.
It's true.
I knew it.
Now, I'll just say this much before we jump into the AI stuff. If you are the person that asks the best question or provides with the best comment, you are going to win your very own drone today. This is a folding drone, 1080p camera, HD camera. You're going to get this sent out to you by myself and Tuna. I'm going to send it to Tuna. Tuna's going to send it to you. It's going to be like a parcel. I'm just kidding. But you will get this lovely folding drone here, which is a really, really good option if you're looking to get into the drone space. So keep posting your questions. Keep posting your comments. We would love to send that out to you. I have no idea. Tuna's just posting his own questions right now. Why are we here? That's an existential question there, Tuna. I can't answer that question, buddy.
Can we answer this in a tech way? No, I'm just kidding.
Why aren't we here? Actually, you know what? Maybe that's a good segue into what we were talking about earlier. So before we jump into the AI stuff, which is kind of, I guess, the same field. Earlier this week on Engadget, they posted a story about your kind of digital immortality. And if you didn't get a chance to read it, I'll just share the screen so you guys can look it up after the show. But I want to talk a little bit about this for a second, because I know we don't talk too much about this on the channel, but the great article on Engadget called Digital Immortality is Coming and We're Not Ready for It. And in this article that was written by someone at Engadget, they talk about how we can prolong your digital self. Now, what caught my attention in this article is actually a company here called Rememory. I'm just going to kind of navigate to their website here. So Rememory is a website that is promising the creation of a digital avatar when you're gone. So imagine the ability to create an avatar and leave a message behind for family or loved ones. And I just want to kind of show the video here so you kind of get a sense of what it is that we're talking about here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. And I know this is a little morbid for our tech channel here, but I just kind of find it very interesting.
여태 내가 늘 함께 있다는 거지 말고 내가 보고 싶고 이 다시 만날 때까지 건강하게 잘 지내고 사랑합니다.
I don't need the subtitles.
We got it.
The mind?
우리 딸 오랜만이네. 잘 지내지?
Can we do my late dog?
많이 보고 싶었어. 못 보면 어떡하나 걱정했는데 이렇게 보기는 다행이네.
So, all right, I think we get the gist. So,
Two things that pop up when I watch this. First,
Yes.
is the first question is it just a recorded message that you watch later, or is it like AI where you can have conversations? But it brings up two things. And
Yes.
we talked about this before the show. There's a show on Amazon Prime called, I think it's called Uploaded, where
Yes.
your conscious gets uploaded in the virtual reality world and you live on forever as long as the servers are still going. But it's also kind of reminds me of that Google chat kind of thing where it was like 3D all around you.
Yes.
MKBHD did a video on it. But if it's got AI, that's... If
Okay,
it
so-
passes away, you got to separate yourself or I'll
So-
start crying, you know?
I have
Let me-
concerns.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who owns the rights to your digital likeness? Like,
Ah,
okay, so
good
here's the
question.
thing.
you
So
guys.
I die, and does my and realistically, at least in the U.S., unless you have a will, a lot of times stuff still goes by the whole bloodline thing. So my son would get rights to stuff even though he's under 18. Unless you go in and file certain things. A lot of people think, oh, my wife will. Nope. They go by bloodline, by the
Yeah.
most or whatever. And anyways, so does he then have the rights? And then like when he could like take and alter and adapt and do whatever he wants with it. Like, what if your child? What if whoever gets the rights really hates you? They could like make you say whatever you want. I understand
And
you're
that's what I'm
dead,
saying,
and
is
then
the
where's
AI
where's
enhanced?
liability? Because you're not an actual person. So can you have them just be like, making up a bunch of stuff about like some company because like let's say you hate Tesla, so you just have it like spout a bunch of stuff about Tesla. Well, they're not a real being that exists, so who's liable for that? Is it the company that creates the AI and allows it? Do they have some sort of filtering process they have to do? And then that
Okay.
questions like freedom of speech censorship. So it
So-
becomes like this whole
To answer your question, Mike, so I was just reading a little bit about this on their website, and I just kind of put this little screenshot up. There's a couple of things that catch my attention. So they're saying here that you can directly interact with this AI, and that it's not just a memory of photos and videos. It's a place where you can have an actual conversation, to quote the website. So I actually think they're taking, how do I put this? Your personality and creating an AI bot
That's what I
that
got
looks
out of it.
Well,
like you,
how?
maybe.
Yeah.
Now,
But
I
how
mean,
did they get?
here-
How did they get your
But what if-
personality? Like, how does that even work? Because it's not gonna.
Well,
they're
the
not gonna have
7
a
hours of
conversation with something
filming.
that sounds like you. It might look like you and sort of sound like you, but they're not gonna get
Well-
that feeling that it is you.
But what if you're like
Deep
recording
learning,
yourself
Beth.
and you're like, I didn't get along with my wife. And at the end, you pass and she's watching this video. All of a sudden, you go, "Hey, you F and B," and something.
Yes.
I mean, this
Completely
could go a
different.
lot of ways, and I guess I would imagine. Again, I'm being unbusinesslike, but I'm assuming this company is going to have a lot of waivers, and they're going to specifically tell you who owns the rights. And I'm assuming when you're signing the paperwork, you're saying, "Hey, the rights are owned by my family." That's what I would assume, but I could be wrong.
Like, I think from what I can, like, just looking here, I mean, you're filming for 7 hours. If that doesn't give a snapshot of your fucking personality, I don't know what will. But basically, they're saying here that using deep learning, they kind of pick up on your physique and your voice. And I'm going to physique, yes. I'm going
I
to
want to look like Arnold
assume.
Schwarzenegger. I want to look all swole when my family talks to me.
Seriously, I want myself photoshopped before they put me in an AI bot.
What,
You won't
so
be
if
bald
you
anymore
hop
or
on to
anything.
do these recordings and you have a
I'll be
hard
like-
time like being in front of camera, your forever persona in here is going to be some like very non-reactive, maybe like
Yeah.
stoic, kind of like frozen, static, person
Yeah.
with like, "Hello, my name is Michael." Like, can you imagine like very
Okay.
like
Hang on
as
a second.
opposed to the
Let's
actual?
not be negative. This company
Can
could be
we
doing
just
a
pause for
favor,
1 second?
Okay?
All right, this website just lost all its credibility when they spelled birthdays wrong.
I can't.
So if you
see.
look down at video message on screen there, 06 video message, birthdays has an E after the word birth.
Birthdays.
So all credibility just went out the window for this for me. Me, being, I wouldn't say a wordsmith, but somebody that appreciates language.
That's the AI version of birthday. That's why it's spelled.
Right, correct.
Yeah, it's spelled
Yes.
with E. It's one of those AI things. You wouldn't get it because you're not a bot like I am. But.
I was
true,
gonna say it's the
true.
British version. You know,
Whoa,
E is added in
whoa.
everywhere. No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh.
Whoa.
I don't know, Dan. Dan
If
might be
it
able to
was, it'd be
confirm.
the
Hold on.
correct version.
we got a test.
But it's not at the end. It's in the middle.
What's
It's true.
what's a phone frame typically made out of, Dan?
Oh, here we go. Aluminium.
Metal?
Say it, champ.
Metal or
this is actually-
plastic?
this is actually doing my head in at the minute because obviously I've started writing for Windows Central, and they sort of want me to write in American English,
Okay.
Right.
and I keep writing in my English, actual English.
Yes.
So it's doing my head in. It's aluminium. Just saying.
It is aluminium. Dan, as an Australian, I will agree with you. Aluminium
Now
is the
listen,
correct
I didn't say that was
pronunciation.
wrong.
There we go.
I'm just saying, how do you? There's a comedy. There's a whole comedy sketch on that Michael
true.
Riff or Riff. He's a TikTok guy. He made a whole thing about it. He's like, you're adding extra letters to the word, and then when he actually sounded it out, he's like, oh, maybe you're not.
So, I'm just looking at this website's fucking fascinating. I spend all day here. So,
When's your
Rememory is
birthday
equipped
day?
with virtual human technology of deep brain AI, a globally recognized artificial technology. And they're saying here, they give examples of AI people that they've created. So there's an MBN news anchor named Kim Joo-ha who does the afternoon news, and apparently that's AI generated. There's the PPP, People Power Party, AI Yoon Sok Yeol as part of their campaign strategy. And then they've even created an AI human soccer player
Oh my god.
for something. This
They
is
don't
like
have any
legit
personality anyway.
kind of creepy, if I'm being
Interesting.
honest.
What if they get to the point
I'm
where they
signing
can just
up.
literally just download your memory? Like,
Well, that's exactly what that show's about that Tuna was talking about,
Yeah,
right?
it's
They
actually
just
a really good
download.
show.
and then you wake up
It
as
is
a
a great
Terminator
show.
one day.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who said it. I think Penny said it that she said that my family won't even talk to me now, let alone an AI version of me. Which is Penny, that's a great comment. That's definitely
Oh,
in
dear.
contention for our prize today. That was great, Penny.
You have run
But it
out of
makes you-
2 terabytes of AI storage. Please upgrade to 4 terabytes for $19.99 a month.
Well, look,
Can
I
you
mean,
imagine
at the end
that's
of the day, Penny raises a good point here. For everybody that does want to see a video message of you when you die, there are probably about fucking 200 people who couldn't give a flying fuck. And let's be
200, a
honest,
lot more than that.
it's those are the people that you really want to leave a message for. It's the people
Right.
that you want to say, hey, I fucking hated you in real life and I hate you now that I'm dead. That's what I would like to do. I'd like to leave a hate message. A
mean, we
hate
can still do
AI
that.
video.
Okay,
It's
Darren,
quite
you
easy
can
to
tell me
change.
how you feel. You don't have to do it in AI. I'm right here.
It's true. This is true. Yeah. But I would love to do that. I would love
Put it
to
on
have
a
like,
USB
that.
drive. Put it on a USB drive.
Yeah.
Leave it as part of your will. Easy
Oh,
enough.
could you imagine?
Oh yeah.
Be the best.
Can't
I always
wait.
said
That's
I
gotta be-
can't
When I-
wait.
when I quit my day job, it's either going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be me ghosting them and just them never know what happened to me, or I just do kind of like a, hey, you're a fucking prick, you're a fucking prick, peace out, and I just kind of get in my
You guys
car.
ever
I
and
can't
go.
wait.
Have you ever
I
seen the
can't
movie
wait to get that
Half-Baked?
DM from Darren.
Have you ever seen the movie Half Baked?
Yes,
With, Dave Chappelle.
yes.
Do you remember when he was at the record store? He's
No.
like, F you, who's coming
Yes.
with me? And no one
Yes.
comes with him.
Darren's
exactly what's going
Darren's gonna be dropping bars, and he's gonna be like 1 cut, 2 cut, 3 cut, 4.
Yes.
Now that I'm dead, I couldn't hate you more.
Mic drop, walks out the door, puff of smoke. You know, that's
Wow.
kind of how I'd like to do it. But I mean, that would be a more interesting way to use AI to our advantage.
I think the neat thing would be like, you could integrate like a QR code on your headstone,
body?
and so people, depending
Oh,
on who comes
merchandise.
up and scans,
That's
you could have
a
different
great idea.
different messages for different people. I think
Yeah,
that would be a
well,
neat.
I want to see my dog again. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see anybody. I want to see a dog.
Sure.
Can you imagine someday that we
download
have
that
like,
party memory though? Download that party memory
That's
and then
good
turn
call.
it into an AI.
or that we have
goes
like like glasses someday that are smart enough
VR headset.
that like you have a chocolate lab and your chocolate lab dies and all you can find is a poodle and you buy a poodle, but it projects the image of a chocolate lab over the poodle, so you don't know that it's like
You
in
know
your
what I
vision.
want?
So
I
that
want
you-
a fucking emoji. That's what I want. I want a dog's face with my voice just talking shit to people when you scan the QR code. I want
Okay,
one
so
of those.
moving on to the next subject.
All right, moving on.
Good segue.
AI.
Quickly.
Apple is reportedly developing its own generative AI chatbot to rival ChatGPT.
It'll be as amazing.
Now, I
as
can't
the
wait.
show.
I can't wait for them to come out and say they invented AI in one of their.
And this
their
comes right
releases.
after they're the only company that didn't show up at the White House with Microsoft and Google
Yes.
to try to do these rules with AI. Because as Apple, you know, Apple does things on. I'm not trying to talk bad about them, but they do things they want to do. They've got trillions of dollars to do it. So
Can we just talk about? I don't know if you caught that coverage, but Meta and a couple of other companies were put up in front of U.S. Congress, and they were asked, like, how are you going to identify AI-generated content from human-generated content? What would be the most ridiculous way that they could identify AI-generated content? You get one guess. Tuna.
take me last. I have no idea.
Okay, Dan, most ridiculous way to identify AI-generated content. He's drawing a blank.
I know Google said they were going to do something with theirs to market.
I know Google
yeah.
does they do it in the metadata.
Yes.
But then
Okay,
there's
that
no,
makes
I don't think
sense.
there's any watermark, so you have to
That
know how
is
to look
exactly
in the
what they
AI
said.
in the thing. You have to look in the metadata, so you have to know. They don't
They
make it
both
obvious.
said, Meta and Google came out and said that they were going to watermark AI-generated content. I'm not even making that shit up. That was a direct quote.
Yeah.
Are you not
Rich-
happy with that? Is that why you're
I
saying?
just
like
think
that?
that's fucking ridiculous. Like, you're
Yeah,
going to
it's pretty
watermark
stupid.
it? Like,
something that happened at the
created
White
by
House?
AI or something?
I mean, you,
So he shall be forever known as Watermark Zuckerberg.
Yes. I mean, I find it ridiculous. Like, I just, like, I don't know. That was, I mean, that just
I
came out of the
mean,
press
it's
conference.
better that than it's in the
Right.
metadata because
No one
I
looks at
mean, 15 years ago, I knew how to manipulate metadata. You can go in and make metadata say whatever you want if you know what you're doing, and it's to the point where like I could send you an image, like I could send Dan an image, and I could say that it was taken in London, on Saturday,
What
July
kind of
22nd,
hold on. Did you say you
2023,
manipulated
and-
metadata?
and he
You know,
wouldn't
data
even
has
know.
rights too. You cannot violate.
And he
them. They
wouldn't
will
even
sue
know.
you.
Like he could look at it tomorrow and be like, "Wait a minute, you're there," and he would have no way of knowing whether. I mean, I could make it look like all that information, save it, and there would be no way to track back if you know what you're doing. That's the problem with the whole trial with Amber Heard and that, and they were talking about metadata, and they brought in this expert. I'm like, so this person obviously has no idea what they're talking about, and I'm surprised that nobody came in and like combat. But metadata, you can manipulate it and have it look like it's original. That's the problem. Now, the watermarks can be removed. That's the thing, though. There's software that's been created that uses AI to remove watermarks. So you're gonna have a watermark on a photo that says this has been removed. The original watermark was
that'll-
removed with AI. And this
You
is
guys
That
the
will
new
only work
watermark.
then
You
with
don't see that
photos, though,
watermark
right?
here?
So
Like, it's right
Well,
what
I don't
about
know,
if
that's-
text and things? Like you can literally just copy paste it if you want.
Yeah.
Like,
And how do you know?
how do you know? There's no watermark for that.
They got to start
Yeah.
somewhere. They got to have some kind of rules, and I understand where they're coming from because if we don't get a hold of it, I'm not saying regulate it to death, but it's going to get out of hand if we don't try something. I just
True.
my biggest takeaway is that whether you agree with Apple or not, or Meta or whoever, it's good to be everyone at the table, all hands in, to kind of come together and find out a solution instead of, hey,
Yeah.
we're Apple, we're going to do what we want, we don't care, and then have the EU come down later and make them change it anyway. So it
There's
doesn't
actually-
matter.
There's actually so I think it started. I want to say it's been over 20, maybe even 30 years ago now when like the early days of kind of AI stuff was starting, because there was AI back, in the 90s with type of stuff. But what they did is they used what's like called familiar strings. So in certain language in AI, there's certain phrases that always come through, and they use that to determine whether it's human or. And sometimes it's the grammar being too accurate. Sometimes it's using weird phrases that you wouldn't use. There's colloquialisms. There's all sorts of things. But the problem is, as it becomes better, it's going to get to the point where you won't know.
This is true. Yeah, and I mean, I was just reading about what Apple's doing here. So, engineers with Apple GPT, as they're calling it, also known as Ajax, which I think is fucking hilarious as a name.
Like the cleaner. Like
the cleaner.
Notoriously snorted up their nose in one of their movies. Right. Yeah.
Or like Ajax from oh my gosh.
He's a superhero.
Ajax was the name of the guy that was involved in putting what's his name and sucking all the oxygen out of the tank and turning him into Deadpool. Ajax was the guy that made Deadpool, basically. Remember? The guy that sucked the oxygen out of was Ajax.
I forget from Deadpool.
So I think one of the things that caught my attention this week, and I just wanted to kind of just pivot into this quickly. So ChatGPT now is going to start remembering who you are and what you like. And I just wanted to get your thoughts about that concept, because I feel as though that might be a dangerous thing to activate on the ChatGPT side. Tuna, what do you feel? How do you feel about that? Because that scares the shit out of me, if I'm being honest.
That according to this article we're looking at right now, that it remembers.
Yeah.
It's just like anything else. You start talking about something, and Google tells you and shows you in ads what you like and what you talked about. It depends on how you use ChatGPT. Like if I'm helping it, if it's doing something like help me write a letter, we've seen those scenarios all the time. When you pop back in it, it wouldn't be a bad idea. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. There's got to be some kind of anonymity to this where you don't have that trail. My fear is that by it remembering who you are and what you like, it starts to create a deeper understanding of your personality. Ooh.
And my fear with something like ChatGPT and like the AI side of things here is that when it can put together a profile of who you are, then it starts to be a question. Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like, what if it can start to guess the type of passwords you're going to use?
It's interesting you say that, because there's a movie, and I just talked about it. I know it wasn't very big. I forget who was even in it. It was about this couple in the future that you actually make an AI robot clone of yourself. So you can just sit around and play games, and your clone does whatever it needs to do for you. And this girl and guy hate each other in real life, but their AI bots fall in love. And I think that's what it's based on. So technically, if this remembers who you are, it could create an alternative version of you, and you could do it out to the day.
The thing it reminds me of slightly is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like it gets profiles of everybody, and then they choose based on the profiles who they're going to eliminate, and they're just going to eliminate millions of people. Mm-hmm. Like that's the kind of. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. It sets off alarm bells in my head. That sets off, that's
the Marvel universe is a direct copy of our current society. So
yes,
exactly. Definitely translates.
So with this,
it does in some ways.
With this, somebody basically they could reverse this and say like, look for everybody with these certain personalities, and then send us a report on that, and then they're like, then government could go in and like take all those people and remove them, or like somebody could take all those people out and be like, we don't want this genetics and culture, and you have like a new day like Hitler type of thing where they're where he was trying to erase certain. You're gonna have that happen now where you're like erasing certain personalities of, or like if it's only AI existence of certain people in the future, are they gonna use that to like delete certain AI personalities? So now you're combining the things, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've all seen that movie. Well, they mentioned it here, Her, but also there was that other movie that Scarlett Johansson did, where she gets, yes. No, fuck, dude, he made me screw up what I was going to say. But in her, the whole
Well
concept
played.
is that the AI assistant knows you better than you know yourself. Like it knows what you like, it knows what you don't like, it knows how to organize your life, who to contact, what to unsubscribe to. Like there's a lot of shit that Chat GPT can gather up about you based on your searches, right? It's kind of like your search history. Like if I look through Tuna's search history on his phone,
It'd be pretty boring. Don't go there.
there would be things I
But
wish I
speaking
didn't
of
see.
somebody
But
who knows everything about you and picks out your clothes, I'm not
Yeah.
speaking for myself, but it could be a lot of people's spouse.
yeah, well, I mean, like
Dan's
I think what
dressed
it's,
by his spouse, I heard. So that's why I'm
it's
True.
true. This is
I
true.
mean,
He's
imagine
always
imagine it
well put
learns
together.
True.
imagine it
He's
learns
well-
what time you get up in the morning, and then it sends something to like cleans your bathroom floor and like scrubs your toilet just before you go in, so that it knows, and then when it knows,
That would be amazing.
and then it like
Actually,
I'm gonna
there you
make your food, and it knows, okay, you have a meeting today, so it has to be done earlier.
You
You
know
know,
what
on
my
Fridays
dream
I
is?
always have eggs, and so it does certain things like that, and then
That'd be good AI.
That would be great AI. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're thinking
My
of the
dream is
evil
to have
AI.
like.
Yeah.
So just picture this for a second. You know, like the original Back to the Future movie, the first like 5 minutes of all the automation, like
Yeah,
the dog
yeah,
get food
yep.
can opening. That's my dream. I want all my
Yeah,
shit to
yeah,
operate
yeah.
like that.
I want something
Just
a little
have-
more advanced than that. I want burnt toast and dog food piling on the floor. I just
True. But you get my point, right? I want the automation of like Back to the Future, the first 5 minutes of the original film. If you know what
I
mean.
also want a
talking about.
case of uranium too on my floor to power my car.
Oh yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And I want some
Definitely helping.
Libyans to sell it to me too. But
um
I love
how about
I love
the
how
day-
Back-
how about the potential of this with gaming, where it learns your gaming style and then it coaches you? So whether it's like video
Yeah.
games or actual
That'd be
like
coaching.
sports,
Or it coaches the enemies to get better.
interpretations
There
of
you
you
go.
through
Yeah.
angle. But then the
Yeah.
then that brings in that play. So if some other team has more money, they could pay to have their software interpret you without you knowing, because cameras could be miles back, because
Yeah.
we've seen where people have gotten in trouble where like there was a recent one where there was a coach was standing outside the box at a baseball game, and he spotted the signals from the opposing team and then let his player know like what the next pitch was. And so there was this controversy over it. So, but with AI, you could have cameras like way miles away that are watching the whole game and could interpret and be like, okay, this this goalie always moves in this certain pattern, so we're gonna send in the rest of the
the team.
football
Yeah.
team or whatever to
Yeah.
soccer
Well,
team.
I mean,
if
I
you're,
don't know if you guys
whatever,
have ever
to
seen. There's
play in a certain way.
There's a great show on Netflix called Living with Yourself. It's with Paul Rudd. And if you haven't seen this show, you should check it out. So basically, the concept of the show is that
What's Netflix?
Paul Rudd.
Not
Sorry,
familiar.
Netflix. Sorry, thank you, Netflix. Oh, you don't know what Netflix is. Sorry, yeah,
Netflix.
Tuna doesn't subscribe to anything apart from
Oh, really?
Pornhub. But
Man of
Living
culture.
with yourself. Paul Rudd is this kind of like loserish kind of guy who's in a dead end job, and one of his colleagues all of a sudden starts killing it. Like he starts doing really well at work, and he's wondering why this guy all of a sudden got magically better. And he tells Paul Rudd to go to this clinic, and that would make him better. And what the concept is that they make a clone of you that's a best version of yourself, and then they kill and bury the original and send the best version back to your life. And in the story
gosh.
itself, Paul Rudd, the guy who goes to kind of make this clone of himself, they unsuccessfully kill him, meaning that it doesn't work. So there's two of him in the world, like the best version of himself and kind of the loserish version of himself. And it's this concept of like them taking all of what they know about him from AI and all this kind of like stuff that's there and creating, the best version of you. But what I'm getting at is if ChatGPT is going to be profiling us and creating kind of like a base code of who we are, what's to say in a future world where we do have advanced robotics that they couldn't download that version, the best version of yourself from the base code that they have and make this perfect robotic version of you.
Terminator.
Right?
Better version, yeah.
And again, exactly like Terminator, right? I know this, and I know we talk about this a lot on this channel that, we've seen these movies. Why the fuck are we not having some kind of safeguards? Is it just
Don't
kind of
get
like
it.
like when Trump got voted in, it was kind of like, hey, let's see what the fuck's going to happen here, because that's kind of what I feel is happening with this.
I mean, there are
Just look at the last 20 minutes of
personality
our conversation,
protections.
though. I mean, we went from extremes to how great it can be and how extremes to how bad it can be, and that's what movies do. I mean, I'm not saying Terminator is never going to happen, but a morphing robot out of liquid metal is a little ways away.
Says
Terminator, dying in a vat of liquid metal eventually with
That's
a thumb
what
up
we
isn't
think.
probably going to happen either. But I did see
True.
Mr. Connor. He's been running around my neighborhood for a while, so I haven't seen any T1000s or whatever they're called.
Whatever they are now.
There are some personality protections too. So like I have my heart and like my skin. So if I die, I can be donated for like grafts and stuff. But the protections say like somebody can't have my face without like your family has to give permission for them to use it because that's considered your likeness. And even things like your eyes, you have to be specific about. So anything that's kind of like this, the central
My
region that
eyes are staying
identifies
with me.
you as you has to be given. But the thing is, if they don't care, they could just give it away. And now there's like a version of me walking around that's got like my face that's doing whatever they want. But the thing about this is, how about not even a real version of you? A digital version. So you have a YouTube channel that's running specifically based off from a AI, like digital curated best version of yourself. And then in reality, you're just doing nothing. And so like if there's ever meetups, now you don't need a real, like you just don't attend those or something. You're like, oh, I'm really sick. And like you can't go because the real version
I'm
of you
going to
is
be
way
honest with
worse.
you. If they could make a version of me that would do all the shitty things that I don't want to do, I would be all for that. I would be the first person to sign up. I know, Tuna, we were talking about that company that's going to embed something in you. Like, what's that company called? You signed
Neuralink?
up, so do I.
Oh,
Neuralink, yes.
Not Neuralink. No, there was
No?
No, I think maybe I'm thinking of something else. I was thinking about the company that had the you can't see what I'm doing. It's like a pocket and it like projects on your arm. I didn't sign up for Neuralink.
yeah.
I'm not having any.
I signed up for Neuralink. That was me, man.
Oh hell no! Elon Musk can't even make the cars doors line up right. He ain't gonna mess with my head.
This is true.
Slightly different.
Someone said here, Michael Pepper's teasing the future of his channel. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I saw just a few months ago. I saw Mike shave his head and beard, and I swear to God, the next week his hair and beard had grown back.
It's all AI.
Okay, he's a very virile man. He's got a lot of hormones pumping through his body there, right?
He's got a new microphone, a new background. Maybe this is not.
You joke about that, but actually, my doctor did say that he thinks that part of my anxiety is my body creates extra adrenaline.
That's amazing.
And for some reason, I can't like
Need to start punching stuff.
and
So
it makes me
anxiety,
really
you bench
tired
press
though.
cars.
That's the
Is that what you do?
ironic. Like
You bench
the
press
ironic
vehicles.
part is it makes me really tired. People think like extra adrenaline's a good thing. It's really not.
Basically,
Nice.
what
Wears
Mike's
you out
saying,
every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
he's
tough.
basically Captain America, is what he's saying. He's got enough adrenaline to bench press a car.
And if Google created an event strictly off from AI, they could call it AIO.
Yes, this is
Wow.
true. Yes.
Wow.
Well, on that
Oh,
note, guys, I think we have a winner for the best comment of the
Oh,
day.
thank you. You didn't have to give it to me. I appreciate it, though.
Don't worry, it's
So
not.
I'm gonna pop it up on screen. I think this comment by Penny was the best
pretty good.
comment
I
of our
agree.
show today.
Yes.
Penny, thank you very much for your comment, which was, my family wouldn't even talk to me now, let alone an AI version of me. So Penny, you've won yourself a awesome folding drone. So can you reach out to me or Tuna on Twitter and DM us some details, and we will get this sent out to you as soon as possible. Well done, Penny. Great comment. And we hope that everybody who's watching right now will subscribe to our channel, and also check out these lovely people. You've got Tuna, Dan, Mike. They all have their respective things going on, and they are amazing. And you should like and follow and, private DM them photos of your feet like the millennials do now.
I'll
But
take them all.
yeah, I know. It's a big thing now, Tuna. I know. You're out of the loop, buddy. You're out of the loop.
I am.
So, listen, a big toe is just like a cock now. That's exactly what it is, right? To quote
Some
one
it
of,
is.
Packing in those shoes.
About the same
What?
size for some.
to quote one of my favorite lines ever in a movie, and this was in American Pie, the reunion.
Jeez, are you quoting American Pie?
I am, and it's my
Cynical.
favorite quote ever. And if
Cinema.
there's anybody out there that wants to send me a T-shirt version of this quote, I would love it. But Jim's dad, when Jim's telling his father about the marital relational problems that he's having, his dad says to him, "You can buy yourself a lot of time with a well-placed thumb." And I love that quote, and I think that should be on a T-shirt. Think about that one for a second. But Penny, congratulations. We will get that out to you. And thank you very much to everybody who has commented today. We really appreciate you guys supporting the channel, supporting the TNT podcast. And just a reminder, you can also... Sorry, Tuna. You're trying to throw me off as I'm closing out. Best American Pie quote. Be gentle. Please subscribe and follow us on Spotify. We are on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts as well. So if you do happen to catch the replay of this show, we're sorry for all of the jokes that you missed and all the things you didn't see. But be glad that you're listening to the audio because Tuna is not that handsome. But anyway, on that note, Dan, Mike, Tuna, thank you very much for tuning in to our... oh, there we go. Sorry, Kevin thinks otherwise, Tuna. There you go. Kevin thinks otherwise. He's
Big
got
fan.
a fan. Yes. If you have the opportunity, please reach out and say hi and come back next week. We are on weekly 6:30 p.m. on some random day lately as we kind of figure out what works for us. But appreciate all your comments. Thank you very much for tuning in. And all of you guys, thank you very much for joining us on our 20th edition of the show. We will keep
20 years,
pushing
man.
forward. I know, 20 years.
Been a long
I
one.
know, one show a year. A long time. Tuna was a baby when we started. This is true.
I'm only 13, so
It's
Yeah,
true.
wow.
It's true. He actually started when he was in the womb. You know, there was one of those
That's
interwomb
impressive.
that's why we had
microphones.
Twitter Spaces first because you couldn't really see me.
It's true. This is true. But anyway, on that note, we will wrap it up there. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.